My name is Jillian Ross. 43 minutes into my blind date with Miles Baird, he closed the door of an abandoned bank vault between us, and I found a loaded revolver lying under a contractor's work light beside an envelope written in my dead father's handwriting. At first I thought the door had swung shut. The vault was old enough for that explanation to feel possible. The bank had been empty for years. Dust filmed the marble floors, and half the ceiling panels in the lobby had been removed. Miles had told me his company was evaluating the building before redevelopment. Then I heard the mechanism engage. I walked to the steel door and called, "Miles?" His face appeared behind the narrow opening of an inner metal gate. He was still wearing the gray quarter zip he had worn to dinner, still carrying my purse, and still carrying my phone. "I need you to read the envelope," he said. That was when I stopped trying the handle. The revolver was 6 feet behind me. I had already counted the cartridges. All 6 chambers were loaded. "What is this?" I asked. "Read it." I looked at the envelope again. Jillian. My father had made his capital J like a fishhook. I had seen it on birthday cards, checks, permission slips, and the notes he used to leave taped to the refrigerator when I was in high school. Thomas Ross had been dead 11 months. I looked back through the gate. Miles said, "Where did your father put the rest of it?" Until that moment, I had believed I was on the best first date I had had in years. That bothered me almost as much as the gun. Kendra from work had been after me for months to meet somebody who was not an insurance attorney, a contractor, or a man arguing about deductible language across a folding table. Miles had seemed normal. That word has become difficult for me since. He worked in building systems. He complained about downtown parking. He told me his sister mailed him expensive coffee he could not taste the difference between. When I admitted I watched old home renovation videos when I could not sleep, he made fun of the hosts for discovering structural damage only after the commercial break. He even had my drink waiting when I arrived. "Club soda with lime?" "You remembered," I had said. "Your profile," he answered. I could not remember putting it there. I had blamed myself for forgetting. There had been another moment. We were talking about work, and I told him I handled commercial property claims. He asked whether I had gone into the field because of my father's security work. I remember holding my fork halfway to my mouth. "My dad? You mentioned it, did you not?" Maybe I had. My father had worked contract security when I was little. Later he supervised warehouses, then spent almost 20 years managing shipping for an industrial supplier. It was not secret information, so I let it go. After dinner, Miles told me the old Lakeview Federal Building was 4 blocks away. His company had evaluated its mechanical systems, he said, and the original vault was still intact. Showing me an abandoned commercial building was exactly the kind of thing that worked on a woman who spent her days inspecting burned restaurants and water-damaged office parks. He knew that too. Now I stood inside the vault staring at my father's handwriting. "You researched me." Miles looked tired rather than angry. That made him worse. "Open the envelope. What happens if I do not?" He glanced past me at the revolver. I did not follow his eyes. He noticed. "It is loaded," he said. "I know." "You checked?" "I count things for a living." "That is not what an adjuster does." "It is if she wants to keep her job." Something moved in his jaw. I crouched near the envelope without touching the gun. Beside it was a photograph. A woman stood behind a bank counter wearing a navy blazer and an employee badge. Early 40s maybe. Brown hair pinned behind one ear. There was a coffee stain along the photograph's bottom edge. On the back, someone had written, "Helen Baird, October 2004. I looked at Miles. My mother. I understood the surname before I understood anything else. "She worked here?" "She disappeared from here," he said with no change in tone. 22 years ago. I slid a finger beneath the envelope flap. Inside was one sheet of yellow legal pad paper folded twice. "Jill, if this ever reaches you, it means I waited too long." I stopped reading. For months after my father died, I had been finding small traces of him in stupid places. a packet of peppermint gum in the glove compartment, reading glasses behind his microwave, $3.82, and a bowl labeled keys. Those things had hurt. This felt different. Miles said, "Keep going. Where did you get this?" "His house." "You were in my father's house?" "Reed." I stood. "My brother lives there." "Not anymore." That frightened me more effectively than if he had shouted. Aaron had moved most of Dad's belongings into storage before listing the house. There had been an estate sale, contractors, realtors, people walking through rooms where our family had spent 30 years. Miles could have been one of them. Or he could have been lying. I unfolded the paper. My father's handwriting became worse halfway down the page. He wrote that in October 2004, he had been supervising overnight contract security for Lakeview Federal. He wrote that Raymond Baird, the branch operations manager, paid him $4,000 to lie about what time Raymond left the building. He wrote that he needed the money. That part was underlined once. I needed the money. My father had told me his gambling problem started after my mother left. My mother left in 2008. I read that sentence again. I could hear Miles breathing on the other side of the gate. Dad wrote that Raymond left sometime after 11, but Dad told investigators he had watched him drive away shortly after 9. At the time, he said, he believed Raymond was covering financial misconduct. Then Helen Baird disappeared. Her purse was found in her car behind the bank. Her body was never recovered. The police questioned my father. He maintained the false timeline. I reached the final paragraph. I was a coward. I kept thinking there would be a safer time to fix it. There was not. Raymond needed me to put him outside that building. I did it. Whatever happened after that, part of it belongs to me. Dad had signed only his first name. Thomas. I lowered the page. Miles was watching me. He admitted it. He admitted lying. He killed her. No. You just read it? I read what he wrote. You think those are different things? Yes. Miles smiled without humor. Of course you do. I looked toward the revolver. Where did you find the gun? He did not answer. That was the first useful thing he gave me. I spent most of my working life listening to people tell me what happened inside buildings. A pipe burst for no reason. A fire started by itself. A roof collapsed despite perfect maintenance. Sometimes they were telling the truth. Sometimes they were confused. Sometimes they were lying. The physical details usually had less loyalty. I looked around the vault. The main door was open now, held by its locking mechanism, but the steel daygate stood between Miles and me. It was a waist-to-ceiling lattice designed to let employees work inside while keeping customers out. Beyond him, I could see part of the old teller floor. Plastic sheeting hung over one hallway. A temporary green exit sign glowed farther back. When Miles brought me in, we had entered through the front lobby. That exit sign pointed somewhere else. You said my father killed your mother with that gun. He did. Where did you find it? And his things. My father's? A pause. Things connected to him. That is not the same answer. He turned away. I stepped closer to the gate. Miles. He faced me again. You brought me into a condemned bank with a loaded weapon. If you want me to believe anything you say, start answering questions. You do not get to interrogate me. I think I do. His hand tightened around my purse strap. I was afraid. I was not calm or brave or anything I later wished I had been. I kept losing my place in Dad's letter because my thumb was leaving damp marks on the paper. But fear did something useful to me once I gave it a job. I started building a timeline. Your father was Raymond? Yes. He was married to Helen? Yes. And your father told you Thomas killed her? He did not have to tell me. I figured it out. How old were you? 12. That answer changed his face. For the first time, he looked younger. I waited by the living room window until 2 a.m, he said. Every car that turned onto our street, I thought it was her. My dad finally made me go upstairs. I slept in my jeans because I thought if she came back, I would need to get downstairs fast. I looked at Helen's photograph again. I'm sorry. Do not. I mean it. You do not get to feel sorry for me. Fine. Where was the gun? Silence. I picked up one of the photocopied pages Miles had pushed through the gate earlier. An old maintenance log. Lakeview Federal, October 14, 2004. A contractor had signed out at 10:38 in the evening after repairing a jammed security shutter near the drive-thru office. Under employee contact, the handwritten initials were RB. Raymond Baird. I looked at Dad's letter. Raymond needed me to put him outside that building. Miles saw what I was comparing. That does not prove anything. I did not say it did. He could have called in. The contractor wrote that somebody let him out. Could have been your father. Dad says Raymond was still inside. Your father was a liar. Yes. The word landed harder than I expected. But once I said it, I did not need to defend around it anymore. My father took money, I said. He lied to police. He may have helped your father get away with something. I can admit that. Miles stared at me. You think admitting the small thing makes the big thing disappear? No. I think you need the big thing to be true. His eyes narrowed. Where did you find the gun? He walked away from the gate. For several minutes the lights went out. Whether he switched them off or whether the temporary power failed, I never learned. I stood in darkness with my father's letter in one hand. I did not move toward the revolver. Instead, I put my fingers through the day gate and felt the latch. Old commercial hardware. Spring-loaded. No keyed lock on the inside face. The darkness ended as abruptly as it began. Miles returned holding a bottle of water. He drank from it, then said, "My father's workshop." I waited. The gun was in a locked cabinet. After he died? Yes. How long? I do not know. Was it registered to my father? No. Was it registered to yours? His expression answered first. I sat on the floor. Miles became irritated. That interested me too. You already know, I said. Know what? You know your father might have killed her. He did not. You found the gun in his workshop? That does not mean he put it there. You think my father murdered Helen, kept the weapon for some amount of time, then secretly hid it in Raymond's workshop? He had access. Why? To frame him. 22 years later? Miles kicked something outside the vault. Metal scraped concrete. Pick up the gun. I looked at him. What? Pick it up. No. I want you to hold it while you read the letter. That was the point when I finally understood the loaded revolver. It was not there mainly for me to shoot Miles. It was there because he wanted me associated with it. Thomas Ross's daughter, inside the same bank, holding the gun Miles believed had killed Helen Baird, reading her father's confession. You are recording this. His eyes flicked toward the corner. I never saw a camera. I did not need to. You need a picture, I said, or video. Just pick it up. You did not bring me here to find out what happened. His face changed. You brought me here because you found evidence against your father, and you needed somebody else to carry it. Shut up. You chose me because I could still be guilty for a dead man. He stepped to the gate. My mother never came home. I know. My father raised me. I know. He spent years looking for her. Maybe. The word hurt him. I saw it. He unlocked the main vault door mechanism. For one brief second, relief loosened something in my shoulders. Then he said, "Pick up the gun first." I looked at the revolver. No. Jillian, if my father killed Helen, the evidence should survive me refusing to perform it for you. I am giving you a chance to tell the truth. No. You are giving me a script. He opened the main door wider, but kept the day gate closed. I folded Dad's letter. There is another mark on this page. Miles looked at me. What? I held the sheet toward the light. Bottom right corner. It is not part of the letter. He stepped closer. I moved back. What mark? Initials. I think Dad wrote them later. Whose? I cannot tell. Show me. Open the gate. No. Then you do not get to see it. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Curiosity won, or grief. Sometimes they are the same thing. Miles opened the day gate and stepped partly inside. Give it to me. I held the paper out. When he reached, I moved sideways. He followed without thinking. That was enough. I grabbed the gate and swung it between us. The latch caught. Miles hit it hard enough to rattle the frame. There were no initials on the page. I ran. He could undo the gate. I knew that. I had maybe seconds. I left my purse, coat, and one shoe in the vault. The teller floor was darker than I remembered. Plastic sheeting slapped my face as I pushed through it. Somewhere behind me, metal clanged. Miles shouted my name. The green exit sign was still lit. I followed it past a room full of strict wiring, past a stack of ceiling tiles, and past a rolling cart with 3 white respirator masks on top. I heard him behind me. The rear corridor ended at a steel door with a crash bar. I hit it with both hands. Cold morning air came through. For 1 second, I saw nothing except a fenced contractor lot and a pale strip of sky. Then headlights turned through the gate. A white work van rolled in. 2 men in disposable coveralls were inside. I ran toward them with one shoe on. Miles came through the door behind me. One of the men leaned out of the passenger window. Ma'am? I kept moving. Miles stopped. That was how his control ended. It did not end with the gun or with a fight. It ended with 2 asbestos. Abatement workers arriving early and wondering why a woman was running barefoot across their job site. Police found the revolver exactly where Miles had placed it. I had never touched it. The investigation that followed took months. Miles was charged with several felonies connected to what he did to me. His attorneys argued about intent. Prosecutors argued about planning. My phone was found in his car beside printed copies of photographs, addresses, old employment records, and notes about places I regularly went. The bank case reopened too. There was no miraculous answer. Raymond Baird had been dead for 6 years. My father was dead. Helen was still missing. But the surviving records made more sense when investigators stopped treating Thomas Ross' lie as proof that Thomas Ross was the killer. Raymond had been stealing. Helen had noticed discrepancies. Thomas accepted money to create a false departure time. The gun Miles found had been hidden among Raymond's possessions. None of that told us exactly what happened to Helen after 10:38 that night. It told us which story had been protected. Aaron did not speak to me for 7 weeks after I gave Dad's letter to investigators. He said I could have kept it private. I asked him whether he had known about the gambling debt. He admitted finding old collection notices after Dad died. He burned them in the backyard. You wanted Dad to be guilty, he told me. No, you handed them everything. He handed them everything 22 years ago when he lied. Aaron hung up. For a while, that was the part I hated most. Miles took hours from me. My father's decision took something much older. I had spent 11 months grieving a man I believed I understood. After the bank, I had to grieve him again without simplifying him. He had loved us. He had also taken money from Raymond Baird. He had protected a lie after a woman disappeared. Those facts did not cancel each other. That was the problem. 6 months after the vault, Kendra finally convinced me to have dinner with some people from work. I almost canceled. I had not used a dating app since Miles. I still checked the back seats of cars before getting in. At restaurants, I preferred chairs that faced the entrance. Nobody mentioned any of that. We were halfway through ordering when the server put a club soda with lime in front of me. I stared at it. Kendra noticed. You want something else? During the investigation, police had shown me Millis research. The drink had never been listed on my dating profile. 3 years earlier, I had posted a photograph from a restaurant patio. My hand was visible beside a club soda with 2 lime wedges. Miles had found it. At our first dinner, I thought he had remembered something I told him. I thought it meant he was paying attention. I looked at the glass for another second. Then I handed it back to the server. "Yes," I said. "Something else."